Since the beginning of life, creatures have been giving birth to other creatures. But sometimes, a few of these creatures are not born the way that they are meant to be born. We're talking, of course, of monstrous births, or deformed babies, as some would call them. Throughout history, these babies have been seen in multiple ways. Now, in modern times, we know the scientific cause of why they're born this way. But before, when they weren't as technologically advanced as us, they would refer to mythology, they would refer to biblical texts, and they would refer to gods, basically, for explanations about why babies were born this way. And sometimes these reactions of the gods would not always be so pretty. In medieval times, deformed babies were seen as original sin, as the parents were not very kind people. They were sinful. They were plot with sin, and obviously their karma would be this deformed baby. So obviously the answer was that they're bad people. But every culture had its different ways of understanding and interpreting what these babies meant. In ancient Greece, the Spartans would not even consider babies as fitting of life. They would inspect every single baby born upon birth, and if there was any small imperfection in any way, they would be tossed down a trench. Unfortunately, they were a harsh society, and they required perfection out of all newborn babies. In Eastern Africa, the Nuer tribe were believing that defects in birth, such as extra limbs or a weird growth, would be a link between humans and animals, and that this baby was more animal than human, so they would cast out the baby in their animal's natural habitat. In some cases, they would just leave them in a river to drown, thinking they were half fish or half hippopotamus for being so hideous. Nowadays, these defects are very well explained by modern scientists. They are known as just simply genetic mutations, and they're caused by different ways, either complications at birth or hormone disorder or damage to the fetus during the pregnancy period. However, some societies today still see these births as a sign of God and probably always will. Religion plays a heavy part on society, and this is just another aspect of that.
In this clip, we see a perfect example of a modernized monstrous birth. For example, in the pamphlet, Declaration of a Strange and Wonderful Monster, we saw a woman give birth to a deformed stillborn child, and the cause was supposed to be that she had talked badly about Parliament, which was connected to the church at the time in England, and was thus punished by God with a deformed and horribly ill child.
So in conclusion, we can see that early pre-modern societies would treat these deformities as just another phenomenon that, without other explanations, they would just explain it under the context of religion and mythology, seeing all of it as signs from God or omens. And this is basically what happened with anything that couldn't be explained with their pre-modern technology.